take a picture of it. It would sound like an echo for that. Or yeah, something else with it. Yeah, it's echoing and bunch of
So this was a promise of Almighty Yahweh. Even though Hagar had to take the lad from where they were from and bring them into the wilderness because of that situation which took place. Yes. Because he was a seed. That's what he was. Because we are a seed, Yisrael. Yes. We've gone out from our kinsmen. We've gone out from the world that Yahweh may separate us. A peculiar people, a great nation unto him. So it is by the promises, it is by the testimony, Israel, and it's by the preservation of Yahweh's will that we are alive and we are well today. Yahweh has placed his seed in each person, each condition that he has established, Israel. That seed yet remains within us. And he protects us. He leads us, Israel, even through the wilderness. And even though we are surrounded and somewhat in captivity, we're not captive. Because it is by his Torah, Israel, that we are able to overcome all things. We're not captive. We're not held back by any means. Yet we are in the world, yet we're not of this world, Yisrael, because of his seed. Because of the seed. Hallelujah, Yahweh. And the promises from Yahweh are above. So did he lead Hagar into the place that he desired? He led her into the wilderness. It was by his will, Yisrael. And he provided everything that was needed. Because he was with the lad. He was with that zirah. He was with that seed, Yisrael. Yahweh, he is with us in this, y'all. And how do we know that above all things? Because his judgment is always in the midst of Israel. So let us allow his judgment, his words, the testimony, and even this covenant, that it may have its perfect work, Israel, in our life. Hallelujah, Yahweh. Continually, and I want to take my time, Israel. Turn with me to Yasha, chapter 13. I want to begin reading at verse 21. Again, this is the promises. Yahweh had made a covenant with his seed. And this promise unto Abram of the blessing of the great nation, this great nation, that we will be and that we are Israel. And I can speak that with all boldness because what Yahweh has spoken his Torah, it shall come to pass. And it has come to pass, Israel. So this is the blessing of a great nation unto Almighty Yahweh. And many of the people of Haran, about 72 men followed Abram. And Abram taught them. Do you see that?
Yes.
He taught them. He taught them the instruction of Yahweh and his ways.
Yes.
He taught them. He took the time to drill it into them the instruction of Almighty Yahweh.
That's what it's.
Why? And he taught them to yada.
Yes.
With experience, Almighty Yahweh.
Yes.
So it took more than just telling them. It had to take a great amount of energy and time to instruct.
That's right.
That they may know, yada.
Yeah.
When you know someone, it is by experience.
Yeah.
Should not we yada one another?
Yeah.
And how do we yada? How do we know one another? It's because of the labor, is it not? We labor with one another.
Yeah.
We have wrestled one with another.
Right.
We have toiled. We have cried together.
That's
We
right.
have shed blood in the sense that our labor
Yeah.
one with another, Yisrael.
That's the truth.
So he taught them in the manner whereby they yada,
Yeah.
they knew
That's
Almighty Yahweh without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
He taught them the instruction of Yahweh and his way. And he taught them to yada Yahweh.
Yeah.
Verse 22. In those days Yahweh, he appeared unto Abram
Yes.
in Ahar, and he said unto him, Behold, I spoke to you these 20 years back, saying. So he was reminding him of the time, of the place, where he was at that time, where he was experiencing, that to go forth from your land. So I told you this 20 years ago.
That's what it says.
From your birthplace and from your father's house. Do you recall what I expressed concerning the father's house?
Yes.
It is where the institution of his leadership is established. It is laid out, the law of the father's house. So he had to go forth from his father's house, that he may accomplish and do the will of Yahweh, his Abba.
Yes, like that.
We must do the same thing, Israel.
Yeah.
We have to go out from our father's house.
That's
We have
right.
found ourselves comfortable in the flesh, comfortable in our mindset that is against Yahweh. We have to come out, Yisrael. You that are listening, you have to come out, nation, that we may follow the statutes and walk in the Torah of Yahweh our Abba. That is the only way. We have to come out. Go forth from your land, from your birthplace, and from your father's house, to the land which I have shown you,
Yes.
to give it to you and your children.
That's what he says.
He said, that's where I want you to go.
Yes.
I reminded that I have told you this some 20 years ago.
That's what it says.
Where are we, Israel? You have those that will confess that Yah spoke to them now and told them to do this some years ago, and they are still in the same place. Where are we, Israel? Have we grown? Have we moved forward?
Yes.
Or are we in the same place? We have to move, Israel. We have to come out. We have to go out from our father's house.
That's right.
He said, I have shown this land to give it to you and your children. For there in that land will I, Barak, I will bless you.
That's what he
And make you, what does it say?
A great nation.
A great nation.
says. Right.
A great nation. Above all nations. Above all people. Above all family, Yisrael. There will be none great. And I will make your name great.
That's what he says.
And in you shall the families of the earth be blessed.
That's what he
Is
says.
that not a promise?
Yes.
Is that not instituted out of the mouth of Yahweh our Abba?
Yes. Yes.
And he will not allow his words to fail, Yisrael.
That's right.
He will make of us a great nation, a
Yeah.
great people that are established in his Torah,
Yeah.
whereby our roots and this house that Yahweh has built is established on a sure foundation, that being YHWH Ha MessiYAH, the living word.
You're the one.
That is the only way we are great, Israel, as a nation.
You're the
Verse
one.
24. And now therefore arise, go forth from this place, you, your wife, and does he say all?
Yes.
He says all belonging to you.
That's what he says.
Also everyone born in your house, and all the nephesh
Yeah.
you have made in Haran. And he says to bring them out. You hear that, Israel?
That's what he
So they had to come out. They could not find a place within that community or that established place. They had to come out. They had to move out, Yisrael. And bring them out with you from here. And rise to return to the land of Canaan. And Abram, he arose, and he took his wife Sarai, and all belonging to him. Why is that so important?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was implemented and commanded of Yahweh that he bring all. Don't leave anyone, anything. You, your house, the possession, it belongs to you. You bring it out. You don't leave anything or anyone out of your house. And all that were born unto him in his house, and the nephews which they have made in Aharon. And they came out to go to the land of Canaan. And Abram went and returned to the land of Canaan, according to what? The word.
That's what it says.
Isn't that all we need, Yisrael? It's a word from Yahweh. We need his word. And he has given his word through his promises and his covenant.
That's what it is.
So it's not by words, but it's by the word, Yisrael.
Yeah.
According to the word of Yahweh. And Lot, the son of his brother Haran, went with him, and Abram was 75 years old
Yes.
when he went forth from Haran to return to the land of Canaan. We have to be reminded of the time frame. This is before Moshe, Israel.
It is.
All this was established before Moshe. We hear many talking about Moshe and that traversing from Mizraim, but there was a great traversing also before that time.
That's right.
The same pattern whereby, as was expressed earlier concerning the lad and Hagar, they had to go forth into the wilderness.
Same pattern.
The same pattern here with Abram. He had to go forth from his place and back to the land of Canaan.
That's right.
So even this perverse, even from Moshe's time, it's the same pattern.
Yeah.
It's the same pattern for us. The pattern doesn't change.
That's right.
We're in a place whereby we must move, Israel.
Yeah.
We can't stay put here.
That's right.
Are we not just pilgrims?
Yes.
As it would be expressed, this is not our home.
That's right.
We're just passing through. Is that not what the old tradition would say?
Yeah.
So we leave all these things behind us, that we may move forward in this straight and narrow path as we move towards renewed Jerusalem, Israel.
Yeah.
So he had to return to the land of Canaan. And he came to the land of Canaan according to the word now of Yahweh unto Abram. And he pitched his tent and dwelt in the plain of Mamre. And with him was Lot, his brother's son, and all belonging unto him. So he brought them all out. Lot, his sons, everyone. He brought them out just as Yahweh has commanded him. That's why we must walk in the established commandments of Yahweh Israel
That's right.
and do all that he commands us to do. If we lack one thing, then his promises and his Dabri of Yisrael, it will not stand in our love and our hearts. We have to obey every word that Yahweh speaks unto us. Verse 28.
No other way.
And Yahweh again appeared unto Abram. Does not Yahweh appear unto us as well?
Yes.
Yes, he appears unto us by the testimony and the living word, YHWH Ha MessiYAH. He has made his way and his face known through YHWH Ha MessiYAH, Israel. And Yahweh again appeared unto Abram and said, to your Zerah, your seed, those which you have brought out, those that have come with you, to your seed will I give this land. And he there built an altar, a place of remembrance, Israel, unto Yahweh, who appeared unto him, which is still to this day in the plains of Mamre. Is it talking about that day, or is it talking about this day? It's talking about this day. It is still there, Israel. This is a living Torah. The Torah speaks beyond time and element, Yisrael. Just as it was established then, it is still yet established now. So yet, that altar, that place of remembrance unto Yahweh, Almighty Yahweh, it still stands there in the land of memory as a memorial. There should be a memorial in the land of Yisrael unto Yahweh, our Abba Yisrael. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
So Yahweh, he confessed and he promised that he will make of his Zerah, his seed, a great nation. But what makes a nation great? Are there not laws and rules, ordinances that a nation has to follow? Is it by military might? Is it by the number of the people? Is it by how much land that one possesses? What established a nation? What makes a nation great, Israel? Turn with me to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 4. I want to begin reading at verse 1. So the promises of Almighty Yahweh did not Abram, did he not obey them?
Yes.
Every word, Israel.
Yeah.
So we must show that same heart and that same desire with obedience unto Yahweh our Abba, to his commandments. Deuteronomy chapter 4 verse 1. Now therefore, hearken, O Yisrael.
Yes.
Is he speaking to us?
Yes.
Or was he just speaking to that nation of people then? He's speaking unto us. Everything we read is in the now, it's in the present. Yisrael. O Yisrael, to the statutes and to the judgments which I teach you. He teaches us. He instructs us, Yisrael. O Yisrael, which I teach you for to do them.
That's right.
Teachers, and we homeschool our children here. We are registered here in the state of South Carolina as a legitimate school. So my question to you teachers, when you teach the children of Israel, don't you expect them to accomplish and to do what you have taught them? Is it not a labor at times? But you drill it into them because your desire is for them to learn. And as they learn to implement that, and how do you know they're learning? It's because you test them continually. You test them by what you teach them.
Yes.
So is this fashion whereby Abram taught those Israel. And it is by the trying and the testing of our emunah that Yahweh tries us. To see if we are learning, if we're understanding, if our emunah is growing. Because we have to have these things to become a great nation, Israel. We have to have statutes, there has to be judgments, which I teach you for them, that you may do them, that you may live.
Yes, we must.
And go and possess the land which Yahweh, your sovereign master, of your fathers gives you. Verse 2. He says, you shall not add to the word which I command you.
Amen.
And we not find ourselves adding to the words? Whether we hear of a story or a situation. I remember in school there was an activity, a game that we would play in the public school. And what we would do, we would whisper, one would whisper a phrase to the next child, and it would go around the classroom. And it was to see if whereby the words were understandable, if the words of that phrase was comprehended, and it went from child to child to the last one, and they had to verbally express that out loud what was said. And honestly, I can't recall even one time whereby, when it got to the last person, that it was the same as where it started, Israel. So we cannot add to his Torah. We cannot add to the things that have been taught unto us. Not even one word, Israel. He said, you shall not add to the word which I have commanded you. Neither shall you take away from it. Does that not sound familiar?
Hallelujah.
Was there not a judgment or a commandment from Almighty Yahweh that if we would add to His word, that He will also add the plagues of His Torah?
Yes.
And if we would take away from the word of Almighty Yahweh, that He would take away our name, our place out of the book of life, Yisrael. He would take from us. You should not add to the word which I've commanded you, neither shall you take away from it, that you may keep the mitzvahs of Yahweh your Abba, which I have commanded you.
Hallelujah.
So where did Abram get the mitzvah of the word, the Torah, from Israel? It has always been with the seed from the beginning.
Hallelujah.
Yahweh had placed it within him, Israel,
Yeah.
that He may teach, that He may instruct all the nation, all the seed of the commandments, the instruction, the judgments, and the statutes of Almighty Yahweh. Verse 3. For your eyes have seen what Yahweh did because of Belporah. He brought great judgment upon Belporah. For all the men that followed Belporah, Yahweh your Abba has destroyed them from among you.
Hallelujah.
He had destroyed every one. That's why it's important that we walk in one mind, with one ahava, one ruach. Because anything outside of the ruach, of the established Torah of Almighty Yahweh, Yahweh will destroy it.
Hallelujah.
And He will not have any pity, Israel. Verse 4. But you did cleave to Yahweh your Abba, and are alive, every one of you, to this day. That's why we're alive this day, Israel. That's why we must cleave. Cleave is more than just holding something. I can hold this handkerchief here, this towel, this rag, but it can easily fall out of my hand. But if I cleave unto it, it has to be by great force that is removed. It's not going to come out easy. So we have to cleave to those things, Yisrael, which we have heard and we have learned of Yahweh our Abba.
Yes.
Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as Yahweh my Abba have commanded me. So Abram was commanded from and by Yahweh. Why? That he may teach. That he may teach it to the zero. He may teach it to his seed. That you should do so in the land, whether you go and possess it. He instructs us in verse 6 to keep. Keep, therefore, and do them, for this is your wisdom.
That's what he said.
There is no wisdom outside of the commandments of Almighty Yahweh. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
That's right.
This is our wisdom. This is our understanding. In the sight, in the forefront, in the visual of the nations, Israel.
That's right.
They will see it. They will see the established Torah. They will see the discipline of Yahweh and His Torah in our lives and in our hearts, Yisrael, as we carry them forth, as we asa, as we do them.
That's right.
That has been commanded unto Abram, to all his Zerah, his seed. He said, this understanding, this wisdom, will be revealed in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all of the statutes. You hear that, Israel?
Yes.
The nations will hear. Why? Because we are this people that proclaim the will and the judgments, the commandments of Almighty Yahweh. They will hear these statutes and say, surely this great nation. That's how a nation is established. That's how a nation is great. Because we follow the ordinances, the statutes, the commandments, and we walk in the judgment of Almighty Yahweh our Allah. That's when nations, they will look and see the difference.
That's right.
They will look and they will see the anointing. They will see the Ruach HaKodesh that dwells amongst the nation of Israel, whereby they will ask, who is the one that this people serve.
Yeah.
Who is this great nation
That's right.
that has judgments and statutes and ordinances that are followed to the fullness. Truly, this great nation is a, what does it say? A wise and understanding people. That's what makes a nation great. That's what makes us great, Yisrael. That we are a wise and we are an understanding people.
Hallelujah.
Yahweh, He doesn't hide anything from us, Yisrael.
That's all right.
But yet, in the time of appointment, He will reveal. As we grow, as we mature, as we are nurtured in Him, He will show us more and more things, Israel. As the old condition, we will go from Imunah to Imunah. We were able to, instead of taking little steps, baby steps, we'll be able to take the full of stride, Yisrael.
That's all right.
That we understand all things. Wisdom, hukmah. And not only that, but having understanding as well, Yisrael. And all of our getting and all the wisdom we may possess, we must have understanding. Hallelujah. So what caused the nation to turn and to look? Because there are still people that is great, that abound and abide in the Torah of Almighty Yahweh. Verse 7, for what nation is there so great? What nation is there so gadol, so powerful, so strong and mighty, who has a sovereign ruler so nigh to them? Is not Yahweh nigh unto us? Is not Yahshua with us? He said, if you will abide in me, we must first of all be in Him. He said, I will abide in you, Yisrael. And He will show forth the power of the excellence of His Torah and His judgments in us, Yisrael.
He will.
They will say again, who is the sovereign master so nigh unto them? Is Yahweh nigh unto us?
Yes.
He said, all we have to do is ask, Yisrael, and we shall receive. Seek and we shall find. Knock and Yahshua this door, it shall be open. All we have to do is cry out unto Him and He hears us. Yahweh is near unto us. He's not afar off where He cannot hear our cry. Did not the lad that's in right at sea cry out, and it was heard in the ears? He hears His children. He hears His seed, Israel. So let us not doubt, let us not fear of those things that are to come. But let us depend in Yahweh for all things. Everything, for instruction. He will instruct us.
He will.
For guidance, He will guide us, Israel. He will send His messenger as promised to lead us and to teach us in all the ways and all the Torah of Yahweh are above. It goes on in verse 7, it says, as Yahweh our Abba is in all things that we can call upon Him for. Is He not in all things? Does He not possess all things? So should we not call upon Him, Israel, in everything? And what nation is there so great that has statutes and judgment so righteous as all this Torah which I have set before you this day? There is no nation, Israel. Abram taught unto his Zerah, his seed, all those things that Yahweh had placed in him. All those things that were implemented in his heart and in his mind, he taught it with fervor and with great astuteness, Israel, that the nation and the seed will follow without doubt. He even confessed, there is no nation that is so great. There is no nation that is so powerful, that is so strong, that has statutes, that has judgments. And Torah, he says, I have placed before you this day. And there isn't any nation but the nation of Yisrael.
That's right.
Verse 9, as I continue. He warns and says, only take heed to yourself. We must take heed to ourselves, Israel. It's easy for me to take heed to you and see things that are going around me. But what about myself?
Hallelujah.
What about me when I'm by myself? Am I taking heed to my actions, my thoughts, my ways? Am I walking in the established Torah? Was not this Torah established in Abram?
That's right.
Was not the institution of this commanded of him to teach Yisrael from Almighty Yahweh?
That's right. That's right.
So in that he commands that we, in all of this, that we just take heed to ourselves.
Yeah.
Watch close. Don't allow the enemy a crack that he may enter in Yisrael. Take heed unto yourself and keep your nefesh diligent.
That's what he
Watch your nefesh. Watch over your lev and your heart closely, Yisrael. Diligently, lest you what? Forget.
Hallelujah.
Unless you forget the things which your eyes have seen,
Yes.
and lest they depart from your heart.
Yes.
So Abram was not, these things were not written upon tables of stone or upon papers of tablet or scroll. He said, be careful that these things not be forgotten of your heart, of your mind, that you forget these
That's
things.
right.
It only takes a little bit, Yisrael. You begin to veer off course. Just a small degree, you will not reach your destination. So he says for us to search your heart, search your lips constantly. Search it to be anything that is not of Almighty Yahweh in you. Destroy it. Watch over your love, your hearts, that they not depart from Yahweh. At least they depart from your heart now,
That's
all
right.
the days of your life. But he said, teach them. He said, I have taught you, I have instructed you, I have drilled this into your life, into your heart now. Teach them to your sons and your sons' sons.
That's right.
That's what he wants us to do, Yisrael. He wants us, as Yahweh instructs us, as he teaches us through his Malach, his messenger, he wants us to retain those things in our heart and our life, that we may teach it to our sons.
That's right.
And then from that seed, his son. And that it may, from generation, the purity of his Torah, that it may continue.
Hallelujah.
Without any change.
That's right.
Without any lapse, Israel. It will have no gaps in it, but it will be full. It will be complete in the heart and in the love of the Zerah, the seed of Yahweh. That's what he desires, Israel. That's why constantly Yahweh, he reminds us, whether we come into his tabernacle, the bed,
That's right.
whether us, our king, we congregate together, you, a whole king, whether we are laboring, there's always room, there's always time for Torah.
Hallelujah.
And all that we do, Yisrael. And I told Yahweh that we have our king, we have Zawkane, that even in the midst of work, there is a reminder. In the midst of the day, us, our king, your whole king. Y'all told Yahweh that there are those that will remind you.
Hallelujah.
That we be diligent and we watch diligent, that we may walk in the testimony in this powerful Torah that makes us a great nation. It makes us a great people, Yisrael.
That's right. All the way.
Turn with me to 1 Melachim, 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 5. For Yahweh, he established everything from the beginning.
Yes, we did.
Every law, everything he has
That's
instituted,
right. Yeah.
excuse me, it has always been with him, because it is the essence of whom Yahweh is. Hallelujah, Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
So this is speaking of Solomon and his dream, Israel, his vision, and also his palah, his prayer unto Yahweh. Because he had to deal, and he understood that this and we are a great nation. So being a great nation instituted, established by Yahweh, he wanted to have the means and the wisdom, the understanding how to deal, how to go in and how to come out, that he may be a king of this Malak that may stand and rule over this great nation, Israel. So it says here in 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 5. In Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon.
That's what he said.
In a dream by night.
Yes.
And Yahweh said, ask what I shall give to you. He said, just ask. What shall I give to you? If Yahweh could or would give us that promise, and he has given us this promise, Yisrael, what will we choose above all things?
Yes.
What will our hearts desire above all things, Israel? Would it be more wealth? If he would have asked for more wealth, Yahweh would have given it to him. Would it be more land? Yahweh would have given it to him.
Hallelujah.
But those are not the things that the Lev of Israel desire. It should be to walk
Hallelujah.
in all of his truth.
Yes.
And as Solomon asked for hukmah and wisdom. Let me move on. Verse 6. And Solomon said, you have shown to your servant David, my father, great kindness, according as he has walked before you in truth, and in righteousness, and in uprightness of love with you. You have kept him this great kindness, that you have given him a son.
That's what it said.
Seed. He has given him seed, Israel. Yahweh will always allow seed to be produced from his Torah, from his love, Israel. We have given him a son to sit on his throne, as it is this day. Don't you know Yahweh has given us all a throne? We all have a responsibility. Don't you know that, Yisrael?
Yes.
That we guard the house, that we guard this great nation,
Yes. Hallelujah.
that as was commanded of us, we diligently watch our love and our actions and our hearts, Yisrael.
Yes. Hallelujah.
Verse 7. And now, O Yahweh my Abba, you have made your servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a little child.
That's what he said.
I am feeble, I am weak. I don't have the strength of my father.
Hallelujah.
I don't have the command and the fortitude that he had. I am just a little child. Are we not children?
Hallelujah.
Are we not little in the eyes of Yahweh our Abba? Are we not just sheep in the pasture, Israel?
Hallelujah.
So we depend on Yahweh to provide all that we need. If we were to ask today, what would Yahweh give unto his people? He would give us all that we ask for, Israel. Because us having this Torah and having his Ruach HaKodesh abiding, we will not ask anything that is outside of his will. More emunah, definitely can use more emunah. More ahava,
Hallelujah.
more hukmah. Do we not think if we would not ask these things, Yahweh, he would not give them? Sure he will. Yisrael. Sure he will. He said, but I am but a little child, and I know not to go out or how to come in. He did not even know how to present himself, how he should go out or come in, Israel. And your servant is in the midst of your people,
That's what he said.
which you have chosen. He knows this great people, this great nation. He understood that it was a nation that walked under the statutes because of his avat and in the pureness of love. Walking in the Torah of Yahweh. That's what makes a nation great, Israel. That's what fortifies a people. And he knew this. And your people which you have chosen, a great am, a great nation, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. The nation was that vast, Yisrael.
Right.
There was that many people, a great nation. And that's what we are unto Yahweh. We are a great nation.
Hallelujah.
We are a royal priesthood that we carry the Torah of Almighty Yahweh wherever we go, Yisrael.
Yeah.
We are the Malach, we are the messengers of Almighty Yahweh. He says in verse 9, to give therefore your servant an understanding lev.
Yes.
We must have an understanding lev, Yisrael.
Yes.
Why? To judge your people, that I may discern between tov and evil.
That's what he got.
Do we discern between those things that are tov and those things that are evil, Yisrael? Don't you know there's a great nation that dwells in each of us because his seed dwells in the heart of Yisrael. So we have to know, Yisrael, how to discern those things that are tov and those things that are evil.
Without a bond.
He says this, for who is able to judge this, your great people, your great am, your great nation? Who is able to judge? Who is able to understand it? Who is able to stand before your nation and proclaim judgment?
Right.
Yes.
We have to have one Yisrael that is able to stand before the nation of Yisrael and pronounce judgment upon the house, to order the house, to lead the house.
Yeah.
And it has to only, and it must only be one. It's not YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
Yeah.
Yes.
He leads us. He instructs us through his Torah. He judges us by what is written, Yisrael, and also by Haru'ah. Again, for who is able to judge this nation? So great a people, this am. Verse 10. And the speech pleased Yahweh, or Abba, that Solomon had requested this thing. It pleased the heart of Almighty Yahweh. It delighted his lap that he would ask this thing of him. And Yahweh said unto him, because you have asked this thing, you have not asked for yourself long life.
That's
He
right.
could have. He could have asked for long life, Yisrael. Neither have you asked for riches. He wasn't thinking about consuming things upon the lust of his flesh.
That's right.
You have not asked for riches, nor have you asked for the life of even your enemies. Don't you know we have enemies?
Sure we do.
We have enemies, and our biggest and worst enemy is ourselves.
Hallelujah.
It's from within, Israel. It's not those things from without. You can see what's outside of the gate that is coming. But those things we have been warned to watch closely and diligently ourselves, Israel.
No doubt about that.
He did not even ask for the life or Yahweh to take the life of all of his enemies. When I have to worry about intruders or those trying to spy out his kingdom, he did not ask for that. But you have asked for yourself understanding
That's right.
and to discern judgments.
That's right.
That's what we should ask for in Israel, is for understanding.
Yes.
That we may discern judgment. Have the judgment of Almighty Yahweh above all things
That's right.
in our hearts. These are the things that make a nation great.
Hallelujah.
This is what makes us great, Yisrael, Gadol.
Yeah, that is the truth.
He said, Lo, I have given you a wise. Let me back up, verse 12. Behold, I have done according to your words. Lo, I have given you a wise and an understanding lev, so that there is none like you
That's what he said.
before you, neither after you shall any arise like you. You
Hallelujah.
hear that? So there was none that arise, that come forth, that had the same unction and the same strength as him. Was it not declared of Almighty Yahweh? But yet it was because of that zirah, it was because of the seed, was it not?
Yes, yes.
So even though that proclamation was made, this was an example of YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
It is.
So because of that seed, Yahweh, he cannot lie. He's impure from lying, Yisrael. But yet, even the power of that same promise and this testimony that he had, it was passed through the generations through that seed, even unto YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
That is.
So we must have this same seed, this desire in our life as well. That we walk in the statutes of Almighty Yahweh, that we judge by the unction of Almighty Yahweh,
Yeah.
and by the things which he has established Israel. So there is no nation, no zirah, that has arisen after him, but that one seed.
Yeah.
Because it go forth, Yisrael, that seed, that attribute, it moves. It goes from nation to nation, Yisrael, from generation to generation. Hallelujah. And that seed has been established, it will never be taken away. It is always with us in YHWH Ha MessiYAH. So it's by that testimony, and because he did not desire anything other, but that he may know how to go in and out from this great nation, and how to judge and to have understanding, Israel. We have to have this in this hour. Because there's no way that we can gain strength or become fortified, but only by his Torah. Only by the Torah, Israel, that is written in the heart of his people. So what is the Constitution? What expresses or denotes great? Is it because of its size? Is it because of its popularity? Is it because of its wealth or what it may be worth? How is great, or what is spoken in the Hebrew, gadol, how is that expressed? How do we express that? How does Yahweh express that unto us, Israel? Turn with me to Barak, Genesis chapter 1, verse 16. This is where it appears, the word great. Just go with me as we examine this, Israel.
Hallelujah.
Where was this announced or pronounced in Torah? Again, Genesis, Bereshit, chapter 1, verse 16. So this definition of great, or gadol, is large in magnitude and extent, important things. It's the importance of things, Israel.
Yes.
Has not Yahweh established those things that are important
Yes.
unto him? So there are things that in Torah he will denote as being great, as being gadol.
Yes.
And how can the expression of that be understood unless Yah explains or denotes or show us those things
Yes.
that he pronounces great?
That's a fact.
So it says here again, are you with me?
Yes.
Bereshit chapter 1, verse 16.
Yes.
It says that Yahweh made two.
Yes.
Does it say that?
Yes.
This is what we find in Torah, great being implemented. And Yahweh made two. Does it say that in your Torah?
Yes.
I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Because this show of the power and the unction of those things that Yahweh denotes as great.
Yes.
He made two great what?
Light.
Lights. Yahweh made them. They were great in both power, extent, magnitude,
Yes.
and their excellence, because he established two
Yes.
great lights.
Hallelujah.
But yet there was a greater light. The greater light ruled the day,
Yes.
but both of them yet are still equal.
Yes.
because they are gadol. But one rules the day. And the lesser light to rule the night, as well as the luminaries, the stars. This is the first institution where Yahweh denotes as being great. And when you look at it, even though we try to find words to express the stars, the moon, the sun, there is no word that can express it like Almighty Yahweh. They're gadol. They're great. The expansion, it cannot be measured by man. They can denote distances, but this is beyond any kind of numeral or any kind of measurement we could come up with, Yisrael. We're talking about what Yahweh denotes as being great. So we see the sun and the magnificence of its light.
Yes.
You can only look at it for a moment.
Yes.
Don't look at it too long, it would damage your eyes. Don't peer at it for long durations of time, because it is gadol. It is powerful and it is great. It is hot and exceedingly hot, Yisrael. Yet the same with the moon, the lesser light. It is great.
That's what it says.
It is said that even the pool is what causes the oceans. We know it's by the power of Almighty Yahweh.
Yes.
But yet even all knowledge that comes from Yahweh are above. It causes the tides even to come in and to come out, Yisrael. Which is a great feat to me. It's great.
Yes.
Is it not a great thing, Israel?
Yes.
That even the moon, it rules by night.
Yeah.
And you cannot have one without the other, because it says two. He made two. The moon will not be the moon without the sun. Neither can the sun be a sun without the moon.
That's it.
It has to work that way. The moon receives its light from the sun, Yisrael. It's a reflector. So without the sun, there would be no moon. And without the moon, because Yahweh, He made two.
Yes.
Are there not two that testify of the greatness of Almighty Yahweh? Is that not the Torah and YHWH?
Hallelujah.
So that's what the sun and the moon is, a testimony of the greatness of Almighty Yahweh, Yisrael. So Yahweh, He established two great lights.
That's right.
Turn with me to Silesium. That's Acts chapter 22, verse 1. So the magnitude of this greatness, this gadol as it is expressed, the sun and the moon, Yahweh uses the very same expression towards His people, His nation, His hand. We are gadol.
Yeah.
We are great. We are above all. Is not the sun and the moon above all?
Yes.
He has placed us high above all people and above all nations, Yisrael. And the magnitude of this greatness as a nation, only Yahweh could place that value. And He has placed that value as being gadol. Turn with me again to Acts chapter 22, verse 1. This is Saul's account of this gadol, this great light, being YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
Yes.
He says, men, Israelite brothers and fathers, hear you my defense, which I make now unto you.
That's what
So his place whereby he had to make a defense, he had to show the earnestness of his heart and his love, that he may prove himself, Yisrael. He said, in this defense which I make now unto you, and when they heard that he spoke in the Hebrew tongue
yes.
unto them, they kept more silent. And he said, I am verily a man, which am a Yehuda, born in Tarus, a city in Selacha, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel. And I taught according to the perfect manner of the Torah of the fathers. He said, I was taught in the perfect manner of this Torah of the fathers. And I was zealous toward Yahweh as you all are this day. So did he move with an unction of zeal?
Yes.
Wasn't that he taught of the perfect institute, the Torah, Yisrael? So he moved with great zeal and with great unction. And he was zealous toward Yahweh as you are this day. He says, and I persecute this way to death. He said he pursued it, Yisrael.
We did.
He persecuted this way unto death, binding and delivering into prison both men and women. So he moved with a great zeal, did he not?
Yes.
But yet he moved in that zeal without haru'ah. And also the high Kohen does bear witness with me, and all the estate of the elders, which from also I have received letters to the Israelite Akim brothers, and went to Damascus to bring them which were there, bound to Jerusalem, for to be punished.
That's what he said.
And it came to pass, this is his testimony, and those things which he has seen, and he saw Yisrael on this journey. He says to Damascus about noon. He says, suddenly, there shone from Hashemayim,
Yes.
he says, a great light.
That's what it said.
That expression is gadol. It was a powerful light. It was beyond anything I have seen or even experienced. He said, from Hashemayim, a great light.
That's what he said.
And it wasn't just a beam that was shone upon him. He said that this light, it was round about me. Should not the light of YHWH Ha MessiYAH be round about us wherever we go? The old condition, I can recall hearing that. Take Yahweh with you, the Torah with you, everywhere you go. So this Gadol great light should be with us, Yisrael.
Yes, it should.
This is the great light of YHWH Ha MessiYAH. He said, being round about me. Verse 7. He said, and I fell to the ground. You mean to tell me that light, just that light was that powerful? He fell to the ground. It wasn't, he didn't get down. He didn't jump down. Torah says he fell.
Yes.
He fell. He fell to the ground, and he heard a voice saying unto me,
That's what it says.
Saul, Saul, why persecute you me? Is this not the words of YHWH Ha MessiYAH?
That's right.
So he's showing himself this great Gadol, this light, that was so intense that it caused him to fall
Yes.
onto the ground, Israel.
Yeah.
That's what the testimony of YHWH should do. It should cause us to fall. It should cause us to bow down humbly before Yahweh our Abba, understanding all the things which he has instituted and that he has done for us, Yisrael. That he gave even his very life.
We did.
Why? Because even he understood the importance of this great nation
Oh, he did.
that Yahweh has elected from the beginning,
He did.
from the Bereshit.
Yes, we did. Not about that.
A great nation. That's what we are, Yisrael.
Yeah.
Verse 8. Saul said, I answered, who are you, Master? He heard the voice. He could not see any figure, only this great light that was round about him. And he said unto me, I am YHWH.
That's what you command.
Yeah.
I am YHWH. He did not forget what he saw as he gave this testimony unto those elders. He let them know. He said, I am YHWH. of Nazareth, whom you persecuted.
Yes.
So Yahshua revealed himself to Saul, this great Gadol light that shined all about him. Remember, this expression has been expressed from the beginning with the two lights, Yisrael. That we may understand when Yahweh denotes great or its magnitude, it's beyond the expression whereby we can explain that, Yisrael.
That's fact.
It's only expressed by Torah
That's
in the
fact.
beginning.
That's
The
a
two
fact.
great lights, Israel.
That's all right.
So is that whom Yahweh expresses, institute this description of great unto his people, unto his nation?
That's what it says.
Yet Solomon expressed, I am just a child.
Yeah.
But he didn't know that he was great in Yahweh. And he is great in his Torah, and he will continue in it. We are Gadol, we are great Israel as a people, as a nation in Yahshua, in him. Because in him we find all that we need, the living Torah. Hallelujah. Isn't that beautiful, Israel? That we can walk every day in this Gadol light that shines round about us. Hallelujah. It's a light whereby no darkness can hide.
That's right.
See, even the light from the sun, yet darkness because of shadows, because of objects, you find shadows. That light, there was no shadow. That light, no darkness could not hide, Israel. When that light comes into our life, there's no shadows, Israel. Everything is brought to the forefront. And we should desire that it be so before Yahweh our God. That there's no sin, and do we say in the skeletons in our closet, that everything is before and up front before Yahweh in judgment.
Judge me.
That it be judged, Israel. That things not come that we have tried to hide behind us. So let us allow this Gadol, this great light, YHWH Ha MessiYAH, and he is Gadol, to overshadow everything in our life, Israel. Turn with me quickly, Hebrews, chapter 2, verse 1. So this is the expression I'm trying to express, and the only way I can do it is through Torah. The expression of Gadol, this great nation, the greatness of Yisrael unto Yahweh our Abba. Remember, it is Yahweh that first instituted, I will make of you a great nation. So Hebrews, quickly, I'm going to read 1 through 4 concerning the greatness of Yisrael. And it is compared, in comparison to, equal to, even the great Yahshua we have in YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Is that not powerful? Is that not great? We understand what Yahshua has done for us. How do we not, Yisrael? Do we understand what he has done and the greatness of his obedience unto Yahweh our Abba? That without him, there would be no redemption for us. But because of the greatness of his obedience, Yisrael, we are able to come this young before Yahweh our Abba. That we may hear, that we may receive what he has for us that comes from Hashemayah. So that comparison, he compares that with his act, his people. Each and every one of us, Israel, we walk according to his Torah and his statutes, his ordinances. Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. Therefore we ought to give the more earnest heed to the things which we have heard.
That's right.
Have we not heard? We've heard many things, Israel. But we must give great heed to those things we have heard of YHWH Ha MessiYAH, his Torah. Lest at any time we should let them slip.
Yes.
Is that not a reminder? Were we not reminded also in Shabbat, Israel, that we must take heed to ourselves, and great heed, that we not allow the Torah to slip? For if the word spoken by the Melechim, the message of Almighty Yahweh, was steadfast, and every transgression, does it say every?
Yes.
So nothing escaped. No transgression did escape. And every transgression and disobedience received a just recompense of reward. It was just. The judgment is equal, Yisrael.
Yes.
He asked in verse 3, how shall we escape?
Hallelujah.
How shall we escape? If every wrongdoing has its just recompense or reward, how can we escape if we neglect so great a Yahshua? So great a deliverance, Yisrael. How can we escape that? Which at first began to be spoken by Messiah Yahshua.
Yeah.
And was confirmed to us by them that heard him.
Yes.
Also bearing them witness,
Yeah.
both with signs, with wonders, and with diverse miracles.
Hallelujah.
The hands of Almighty Yahweh working in his living Torah.
Yeah.
He said, gifts of Haruach according to his own will. But you see the power and the magnitude of YHWH Ha MessiYAH being implemented, Yisrael,
That's right.
and its grace. Yahshua from Yahweh are on high.
That's right, great.
It's a great thing which he has done. It's a great feat that only can come from Yahweh or above. And yet he has done that for us, Yisrael.
Not upon us.
And he compares even that greatness with his people, with this nation, Yisrael.
That's all right.
It's important that we understand
Yeah.
whom we are, the seed, not seeds. Yahweh has not spread seeds, but it's his seed, Israel,
That's right.
from generation to generation.
That's right.
Hallelujah, Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
So we can't escape judgment, for his judgment is great. But yet also in that judgment we have YHWH Ha MessiYAH
Hallelujah.
and the acts which he has done according to Torah, which is great.
Yeah.
It is Gadol Yisrael. So even us as a people, this great nation unto Yahweh are above. We are established by Torah. We are instituted by his promises that he gives unto us that will never be broken.
That's right, I buy it.
His Torah, as we have been taught and as we are taught, written in our hearts, Yisrael, that we may walk in the ordinances and in the way of Yahweh our Abba. And that we are not detoured by what happens in the world, what goes on, or even the fiery darts of Hashatan.
That's right.
But that we proceed in this straight and narrow path into the Melchut, into the kingdom of Israel. We are a Gadol Am, a great nation, a great people unto Yahweh our Abba.
Yeah, that's right.
That is a testimony above all testimonies. Turn me to Hebrews chapter 13, verse 18 as I continue. And again, those of you that may be listening, this is part 2 of I will make you a great nation.
Yeah.
Remember, there are still 6 blessings that are still yet to come, Yisrael. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 18. This is what a tough shepherd represents, Yisrael. It's not Yahshua a tough shepherd?
Yes.
Does it not lead us in the path of righteousness?
Hallelujah.
For his name's sake, Yisrael. He says, pray for us, for we trust we have a tough conscience. We must have a tough conscience, Yisrael, before Yahweh. And all things willing to live honestly, openly. He says, but I beseech you exceedingly to do this, that I may be restored to you soon. He said, there's something that you must do, Yisrael, until I am restored or returned back unto you.
Yes.
He says, now Yahweh of Shalom, that has brought again from the dead our Master YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
God the one.
He says, that great shepherd of the sheep.
Yes.
He's a great shepherd.
Yes.
What makes a Gadol shepherd Yisrael above all things? That he is willing to give his life for the sheep. He will do whatever it takes to protect it. That's what makes a great shepherd Yisrael. So he had to serve the sheep in order to be great.
I like that.
So if we want to be great, we must learn how to serve
Yes.
above all things.
Yes.
You want to be Gadol before Yahweh? We must learn how to serve as Yeshua served. That's what makes a great shepherd, that he is willing to give forth his life, his time, his energy, his body. I'm talking about his flesh for the great nation of Yisrael. He says, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the dam of the everlasting covenant. So it's not the covenant that was made, was it not sealed by the dam? It can never be broken.
Yes.
It was sealed by his dam, by his blood, Yisrael. That covenant can never be broken. And that covenant, well, who is it from? Who is it through? It is through Abraham. It's that very same covenant. That it may be preserved and kept and sealed by the dam of YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
Lord the one.
That institution of the Torah that was established in Abram from the beginning, it comes from Yahweh Abba. And that seed from generation still it yet remains. And it has been sealed, and we have been sealed, that covenant by the dam of YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Verse 21. It says, make you perfect in every tough work. Don't we want to be perfect? I desire to be perfect in every tough work, Yisrael.
Yes.
In every tough work. To do his what?
Yes.
His will. His hafik, his tough pleasure. We conform ourselves that his will, Yisrael, will be the most important and pleasing thing in our lives, in what we do. And what that would do, it would catapult us, Yisrael, to do all things, even towards one another, to ahava one another. Our neighbor as ourselves, Israel. We have to do that. We must do that, Israel. He said, in every tough work, to do his will, walking in you that which is well-pleasing in his sight. So when we walk, Israel, when we walk, what we do, it should be well-pleasing in his sight, through YHWH Ha MessiYAH, to whom be honor forever and ever.
Hallelujah.
So it is, so it be,
Yes.
may it be fulfilled.
Hallelujah.
May it be fulfilled in us, Israel. A great nation unto Yahweh Abba. Sure, we look for through a glass that seems dim and darkened, but yet it is by the promises and the testimony through Abraham that all this will come to its fullness, Israel. It will all be revealed. It will all be brought together. We will all be joined together, Israel, in one place. That we may offer up a shahah that is above any shahah that comes from the Melechim. The testimony that we bring before Yahweh Abba will be more powerful than anything in the Hashemayim. Because we are great.
Hallelujah.
We are great before Yahweh. He has deemed us to be his great Am, Israel. Even where we will judge even the Melechim. There will be no nation or people that will be above us. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Second kafah, as we move on. Yahweh has called us a great nation.
Yes.
That expression even being brought from the beginning, the two great lights, Yisrael, the sun
Yes, I like that.
and the moon. Hallelujah. Second Kepha, chapter 1, verse 1. What is the greatest, if I may use this, of promises that we can receive, Yisrael, that denotes this great nation that Yahweh confesses and expresses of his act? What denotes that? How is that established? The covenant, the promise. How has it been kept and preserved, Israel? I will answer that in 2 Kepha chapter 1. Simon Kepha, a servant and a shalisha of YHWH Ha MessiYAH,
That's what
to them that have attained like precious emunah. So we must have the same emunah, Israel.
Yes, yes.
We cannot have, as we say, different faiths. There's not different faiths.
That's right.
There's only one emunah. So having the same precious emunah with us through the righteousness.
Yes.
Not our own righteousness, which we have done,
That's right.
but it's through the righteousness of YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
That's right.
Through Yahweh our Abba, our Redeemer, and Messiah Yahshua. He says in verse 2 that the free unmerited ahava
Yes.
and favor and shalom be multiplied to you
Yes.
through the knowledge of Yahweh.
Other way.
Should there not be a knowledge?
Yes.
Should not we yada?
Yes.
Did not Abram teach those that come with him that they may yada Yahweh?
Yes.
So we have to yada, we have to know Yahweh, Yisrael.
Without about that.
Through the knowledge of Yahweh and of YHWH Ha MessiYAH. That's how it comes, Yisrael. Let me continue. Verse 3. According. So it always brings us back to this. According as he has revelation power, has given to us all things.
Yes.
Does it say all things
Yes.
in your Torah?
Yes.
So he did not lack concerning his promises. But all things that pertain, it has to deal with, it has to deal or do pertaining to life, being husbands, being separated, being set apart, a condition, I am unto Yahweh are above. Through the knowledge of him that had called us to honor and to virtue. Hallelujah. Verse 4. Whereby are given to us exceeding great,
That's right.
gadol,
Yes.
exceeding great. You mean as great as the sun? Yes. As great as the moon?
Yes.
As great as YHWH Ha MessiYAH and that testimony?
That's right.
Exceedingly great and precious promises. And where does that come from, Yisrael? From our Abba, Abraham. The promises of Abraham, Yisrael. That's where it all stems from the Bereshit. And it all has been maintained even unto this day. And it shall always be maintained. Because it is a promise unto Abraham from Yahweh, our Abba, and it has been sealed by the dove of YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
Yes.
So it shall and it will be fulfilled in us, Israel.
Yes.
It says, exceeding great promises, that by these you might be partakers.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
Don't you want to be a partaker?
Hallelujah.
Are we not partakers?
Hallelujah.
Yes.
We are partakers, Israel. So we must daily take up the stake, should we not?
Yes.
The same stake that Yahshua took. We must take up our stake daily. That these may be partakers of the revealed nature having escaped corruption that is in the world
Yes.
through lust. So we
Hallelujah.
escape the corruption in the world, Yisrael, that is through lust. By this testimony in YHWH Ha MessiYAH, by this revealed nature, that we do all the things that has been commanded of us by Torah.
Hallelujah.
And even the expression of his promises through Abraham,
That's right.
that they are maintained, Israel, and they are preserved by the blood and through the dam of YHWH Ha MessiYAH, that we may continue. Let us not give up because of situations and circumstances.
I would not.
What have we gone through, Israel, that is above what Yahshua has gone through for us? That he maintained the course, he didn't waver. He just had to depend still upon those things that Yahweh has promised from the Bereshit.
That's right.
And he endured, and he overcome. We must endure all things, Israel, in him, that we may overcome. We are a great nation, a great am,
Yes.
that stands before Yahweh our Abba. Nehemiah has somewhat to say concerning the greatness of this nation, of this am before Yahweh our Abba. Turn me to Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 3. It is Yahweh that makes us great, Israel. It's not by any constitution of man or any recognition of man. It all comes from Almighty Yahweh.
Yeah.
Nehemiah chapter 1, verse 3. And they said unto me, the remnant that are left of the captivity there, and the province are in great affliction and approach. The wall of Jerusalem also is broken down, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. So any kind of resistance was taken away. The gates, the walls were destroyed in Jerusalem. It was open for any enemy or any attack to come in, Israel. Will we be left open if it were not for the dawn of YHWH Ha MessiYAH? Whereby the enemy, he could come in and just have his way. But he cannot, Israel. I told Yahweh for that. Verse 4. And it came to pass when I heard these words, that I sat down and wept and mourned certain days. And I fasted. Hulah, pray before Yahweh, my sovereign Abba of Shemaiah. And I said, I beseech you, O Yahweh, sovereign master of Hashemaiah, the great. He knew he was great. He knew he was great and almighty. And he is one, Yisrael Echad, the great and mighty one, to be feared and honored. And he reassured himself by this, that keeps covenant.
Yes, he does.
Even though the city was destroyed and the walls brought down, yet he knew he could reserve and resort back to the covenant, the promises. That keeps covenant and kindness for them that are him and keep and observe his commandments. So he preserves that covenant, Yisrael, unto those that are him and that keep his commandments. He says in verse 6, let your ear now be attentive. Give me your ear, Almighty Yahweh, and your eyes open, that you may hear the prayer of your servant. What is not a great cry unto Yahweh? Did he not remind Yahweh of the covenant and of the promises that he keeps Israel? He knew above all things, if he had nothing else, he had the covenant. He can rely on the covenant, Israel. Which I pray before you now, day and night, for the children of Yisrael, your servants, and confess the sins of the children of Israel. So he stood as a mediator, did he not?
Yes, he did.
Confessing the sins of the nation of the children of Israel.
Yes.
Don't you know that Yahshua is our mediator, Israel? That he confessed before Yahweh our Abba, not just then, but daily. daily he stands before Yahweh Yisrael. He says, and confess the sins of Yisrael, which we have sinned against you. Both I and my father's house have sinned.
Yes, sir.
We have sinned, Yisrael.
Yeah.
We have done things before Yahweh that is totally opposed to his Torah.
Hallelujah.
But yet his covenant, it still yet stands, Yisrael.
Yes.
Though his judgments, they are great, and they are. And the desolation of the city, it was great. But yet it's the covenant and his promises, Yisrael, that keeps us and that restores his nation to its proper place in him, Israel. Turn me to Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. So were the walls of the children of Jerusalem, were those walls torn down? They were destroyed, was it not? But yet Yahweh, he builds, and he restores, and he rebuilds Israel according to his covenant. So I want to express to us here in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17. There's a great reward, Israel, but we must keep the commandments of Yahweh our Abba and the power of his Torah, that it may be revealed in us.
Must. No thought about it.
There's no other way, Israel. It has to be through the Torah. It says here in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, think not that I have come to destroy the Torah.
That's right.
What does this have to do with the greatness of the nation of Yisrael? Because it is the Torah is the institute, Yisrael, the installation of all things that Yahweh has commanded, that we may walk in him. That we do all things that are pleasing unto him. And only by walking in his Torah, those commandments, those things which he has established, only walking in that will we become of the maturity and the power and the strength he desires us to be as this great nation.
Hallelujah.
Because there's nothing within ourselves, flesh does not bring any kind of power.
That's right.
Neither can it be established. Look how it's weak. Bumping into something, it bruises. Scratch it, it bleeds.
Yeah.
So it has to be something that is established beyond flesh.
Hallelujah.
It has to be only in the promises, Yisrael.
Yes, brother.
And in his Torah. He said, I have not come to destroy the Torah, but to fulfill it.
Yeah.
I told Yahweh for that Yahshua,
Yeah.
he fulfilled it. And that him being impaled on that stake, the dawn that was shed from his body, it sealed everything, Israel.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
fulfilled everything that has been testified from the Bereshit. All things. All the promises. All things, Israel, in YHWH Ha MessiYAH. All things in him do we find. Hallelujah. Verse 18. For truly I say unto you, till Hashemayim and the earth pass away. Will the Hashemayim and the earth pass away, Israel? It will not. Not one jot or one tittle. Now how can you say that with such unction, Zawkane? That those that will testify the destruction of the whole world, it being wiped out what they call the orbit, or what the establishment of planets. There are those that believe that there are all kinds of theories and thoughts and ideas out there, Israel. But it will not be destroyed. Neither shall the Shemayim be destroyed, because his word and his covenant from Abram, it will not be destroyed. So it shall be maintained. Not one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the Torah. Nothing will pass. Nothing will be done away with, Yisrael. He said, I have not come to destroy it, but I have come to fulfill it. Till all things, or all it be fulfilled. And we know it was all fulfilled in him, Yisrael. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so. See, Abram taught men to remember Almighty Yahweh.
That's right.
to know Yada Yahweh.
Yes.
He said that any man teach otherwise, other than that, to teach so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of HaShemayah.
Yes.
But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called what?
Great.
Great. The same shall be called great. So we must teach them Yisrael, as it has been commanded to our sons,
That's right.
and from their sons to sons. This we pass our Torah from generation to generation, that we may yada yada, that we may know him.
Yeah.
We may understand him, Yisrael, know what pleases him, know how to discern both from those things that are tough and those things that are evil.
That's right. That is true.
He said, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of HaShemayah. Don't you want to be great, Yisrael?
Yes.
Our desire is to be great in him, in Yeshua, in the presence of Yahweh our Abba.
Yes.
So as he looks down, his heart will be elated, if I may use that word, to see the completeness of all that he has instituted, he begun in the Bereshit. So let us walk as a great nation. We are a great nation before Yahweh our Abba, both in statute and in Torah. And his judgment is with us, Israel. And his Ruach HaKodesh, it is in the house of Israel. It will not depart from the house. I can promise that, Israel, through his Torah. Turn me to Yaakov, John chapter 15, verse 9. We're still talking about a great nation. That only a great nation can be established by Yahweh our
All
Abba.
the way.
He elects the great nation. And his zerah, his seed, it shall never fail. So there are commandments that are given unto us to guide us, Israel. And it is commanded by YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Let's see what Yaakov says here. 15 verse 9. As the Abba has ahava me.
Yes.
He has loved me. He has nurtured me. He has kept me. So have I ahava you. Should not we have great ahava one unto another? Yisrael. We should. We must. He says, continue you in my ahava. Continue you in the things which I have implemented, that I have placed in you. You saw how I have lived amongst you and the things that I have done. Continue in that same ahava. And if you keep my mitzvah, you shall abide in my ahava. So we have to abide in his ahava. And the only way to abide, to abode in his ahava, we have to, Yisrael, abide in him. We must keep his mitzvah, his commandments.
Yes.
Even as I have kept my Abba's commandments. So do we think, just because he is YHWH Ha MessiYAH, the Son, the only begotten of Yahweh our Abba, that he can just go outside the commandments and the ordinances of Yahweh? He in himself knows better. How can I say that? Because he is the Word. So he cannot do anything outside the commandment of Almighty Yahweh. We must have that same ahava, that we don't do anything outside of his commandment, Yisrael. Yeshua didn't do it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. And we can do this in him, Yisrael. That's why we must remain in him. We must watch ourselves diligently. Search closely, Yisrael, at all times, and remain in his commandments. He said, this is my commandment. And this is a great commandment, Yisrael, that you ahava one another, as I ahava you. Verse 13. Greater. Do you hear that? So it's more than just great. It's beyond great. Do you hear me, Israel? There's great, but there's greater. Greater ahava. Do we have ahava? We have to have ahava, Israel. But it has to be greater. Greater ahava has no man than this, that a man lay down his life
That's what he said.
for his friends. Did not Yahshua lay down his life? Yes, he did it for the established testimony of a Torah, but also he did it for each and every one
Yes.
of the Israelite Kedusha. Because he has deemed us friends, Yisrael, whereby he tells us everything that pertaineth unto life and living Kodesh before Yahweh our Abba. Greater ahava has no man than this, that a man will lay down his life for his friends.
Yes.
He says, you are my friends. You hear that, Israel? If you do not, if you do whatsoever
Now,
I command you.
right.
So we are his friends if we do
If we do,
whatsoever.
that's right.
Whatever he says, he commands. It may seem a farce, but we must do it, Yisrael.
He must.
And in doing asa, the accomplishment of that,
Yes.
we are his friends, Yisrael.
That's what he says.
We are his friends. So we have to remain in the commandments. That is what a great nation does. And there's a great ahava and a greater ahava that we must have one unto another,
That's right.
that we are willing to lay down our lives one for another, Israel. That's the greatness of a nation.
That's right.
The true ahava of Almighty Yahweh.
That's right.
Did not Yahweh lay it all on the line for us?
Sure did.
He laid it all on the line because he laid it all, put it all in YHWH Ha MessiYAH,
That's
the
right.
living Torah for Yisrael. For we are a great nation unto him. Quickly, turn me to Zechariah chapter 6, verse 9. So is there not a city that is not made by man's hands,
Yeah.
but it comes from Abba Yahweh from on high? Jerusalem, Yisrael. And in the expression of that great city, he equals or equates that with the Bayit, with the assembly, Yisrael.
Yeah.
Whereby we are a great Bayit, a house unto Yahweh our above, a city.
Yeah.
Should not we sit upon a hill whereby our light, the testimony of Yahshua, hukmah and wisdom, understanding, should it not shine, Yisrael, for every nation to peer and to see?
Yeah.
We should be a light upon a hill which cannot be hid, Yisrael. So it says in Zechariah chapter 6, verse 9, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, take of them, of the captivity, even of Heliai and Tobiah and of Yehuda, which come from Babylon, to come to you the same day, and go into the house of Yoshia, the son of Zephaniah. Then take silver and gold, and make crowns, and set them upon the head of Yahushua, the son of Yahusadah, the high Kohen, and speak to him, saying,
Yes.
thus saith Yahweh of hosts,
Yeah.
saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch, Yisrael.
That's right.
We must behold the name of the one, the man,
Yeah.
whose name is the branch.
Yes, indeed.
And he shall grow up out of his place. Is that not what a branch does?
Yeah.
It grows up out of its place from where it is nourished from, Yisrael.
Yeah.
Should not we grow or branch from where we are nourished from?
Yeah. That's all right.
Should not we flower and produce fruit, Yisrael? Are we not grafted into the vine, YHWHSHUA Ha MessiYAH? For he is the true and the living vine, is he not, Yisrael? So everything we do, what we say, what we accomplish, it has to come from the source, Yisrael. It has to come from the vine. So we must jump out as a branch. We must grow. We must be strong in him above all things, Yisrael, that we may endure, that we may stand, a great nation unto Yahweh our Abba. And he shall rebuild the great tabernacle of Almighty Yahweh. He said he shall rebuild the great tabernacle. How would he rebuild it? And how would he have the knowledge to institute the building, except it come from Yahweh?
Yes.
He knows how to build his house, Israel. He knows where to put each block. He knows where to put each pillar. Everything. The knowledge that comes from Yahweh are above. And he shall rebuild the great tabernacle of Yahweh. See, we are a great tabernacle.
That's a fact.
We are the bed of Yahweh.
That's a fact.
We are the place now whereby his name, it is written.
Yes.
It is written, Almighty Yahweh, upon the house, the bed of Israel. Even he shall rebuild the great tabernacle of Yahweh, and he shall bear the grandeur, sit and rule upon his throne. Don't you want Yahweh to rule Israel? The only way Yahweh will rule, if we would allow, if we would submit ourselves unto the rule of YHWHSHUA Ha MessiYAH. We must submit it to the rule of the Torah, Israel. We must submit unto every ordinance, every statute. And also we must submit one unto another. With all subtlety, Israel. Not hiding anything in our bosom one from another, but that we just lay it all out, Israel. What really do we have that we should hide? Nothing. We shouldn't have anything, Israel. The only worth of who we are, it comes in him.
Hallelujah.
It's through YHWHSHUA Ha MessiYAH.
Hallelujah.
The only greatness that we will ever achieve is not some kind of diploma or anything of that nature, but it's only by walking in the commandments of Almighty Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
Allowing the establishment of his Torah to rule in our hearts above all things, Israel.
Yeah.
So he will build his great bed, the tabernacle of Yahweh, and he shall bear the grandeur of it. Why? Because it represents him.
Yes.
It represents who he is, Israel.
Yeah.
And he shall sit and rule upon his throne, and he shall be a Kohen upon his throne. And the council of Shalom. Don't we need the council?
Yeah.
Don't we need councils, Israel, and counselors of Shalom?
Hallelujah.
And the council of Shalom shall be between them both, Yehudah and Israel.
Hallelujah.
So there'll be a council. There'll be one, a council of Shalom.
Yeah.
A testament of Shalom between both houses. Between the bed, Israel. And the crown shall be to Helim, and be to Tobiah, and to Yediah, and to him the son of Zephaniah, for a memorial, that it may be remembered, that it may be written, Yisrael, a memorial in the great tabernacle of Almighty Yahweh.
Hallelujah.
So even the crowns and the making of those crowns is for the institution of the great bed of Yahweh our Abba. We shall all wear a crown of righteousness, Israel, that we represent the rulership of YHWHSHUA Ha MessiYAH, the living word, in our lives.
That's right.
So we shall all have a crown. We are all kings, Israel, and messengers of Yahweh our Abba, and his great tabernacle, the bed of Yahweh. It says in verse 15, and they that are afar off shall come and build and the great tabernacle of Yahweh.
Three.
Those that are far off, they will realize the greatness and the unction of the power of his testimony from the Bereshit. They will be mesmerized as they see the light that will shine forth from his great tabernacle, Yisrael. That even they will desire to draw near and come closer, that they may build, that they may be established, Yisrael. That's where the blessings of Abraham come in, that we are a blessing even unto the nation.
Yes. Yes.
And unto people, Yisrael. That they will desire to come into the great tabernacle of Almighty Yahweh. Hallelujah, Yahweh.
Yahweh.
And you shall yada know that Yahweh of hosts has sent me unto you. And this shall come to pass. Again, here's that word, diligently.
Yes. Yes.
There has to be a constant searching, not growing weary, and well-doing, Israel. If you would diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, your Abba. So we must diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, of Abba, when he sends his messenger from on high, that we may hear the word of Almighty Yahweh, our Abba, which will open up our sight that we may see. That's the only way we're going to see and understand his Torah in this generation. Just as Hagar, we have to hear the words from Hashemayim, and then our eyes will be opened, Israel. Open unto that well of living water. So let us on this Yom, let us drink, Israel. Let us partake, let us be refreshed in YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Let us rest in him of this wonderful and precious covenant that Yahweh has established from the Bereshit. And that he only can elect a nation, a great nation unto him. Gadol can only be expressed from the beginning. The greater two lights, Israel. They were Gadol. The testimony and the work and the finished work of Yahshua. Great.
That's right.
Great Israel. That Yahweh would compare us, his act, as this great nation. Whereby all other peoples, they will flow into the city. They will come, Israel. And they will testify of even the greatness that they see. Because of the testimony and the covenant that Yahweh has kept and has sealed from the Bereshit. So I want this message to be uplifting to your love, Israel. That we understand who we are. We are great. Don't let no one kid you. Don't kid yourself. And we understood and knew, and I say this even of myself, who we truly are, Israel. And there will be nothing that can undertake us. Not even our own emotions, our own desires, our own lusts will not take us down. But we have the greatness of Almighty Yahweh because he has deemed us Sadiq in this generation by his own words, Israel. And Yahweh, he cannot lie. He's immune for lying. When he speaks a thing, it is so, Israel. So be great this Yom, this day. Let us be the greatness of this tabernacle expressed in Torah by Almighty Yahweh. And let us, above all things, as I bring this message to a close, let us do the greatest of everything. That we give our life, Yisrael, willingly. Willingly one for another. Hallelujah. That we lay down our time one for another. Our bodies one for another. Our possessions, and we don't have much, but yet we distribute everything evenly unto the bed called Yisrael. So again, you all send your offerings. That it may be preservation and preserved in the bed, the storehouse of Yisrael. that it can be distributed unto those that are needy. There are many people in need, Yisrael.
Hallelujah.
Look at those that lives have been taken and destroyed and ravished by the hurricane. Don't you think we could assist? Or you can assist? Is it a right thing, Israel?
Yes.
But yet we find ourselves stingy. We don't want to give. Give unto the beds.
Yes.
Give unto the house, Yisrael, that it may be much stored up, that we can be a blessing unto the nation. That the word will continue to go out. This is not free. You know, listening by via live stream. It is not free. It takes money to broadcast. It takes money to and reserve that you may be able to hear the messages that come forth. And to keep even the website, those kind of things operable and operating Israel. So don't be stingy, give. Be a cheerful giver as Torah instructs us. And you know that you are of the Zerah, the seed of Abraham. Because he gave the portion and more in offerings, Yisrael, unto Yahweh our Abba. So we are of the seed, are we not? We testify to be of the Zerah, the seed. That we have this covenant that has been established from the Bereshit, a great tabernacle. So let us give Israel.
I will.
And you will be given great promises and great wealth from Yahweh our Abba if you will obey the commandments, Israel. So let us enjoy this Yom. Let us fellowship. Let us give Torah unto Yahweh. All of his love for us. YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Hallelujah.
Yahweh.
In YHWH Ha MessiYAH. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Let me read this in my closing. Yisrael. I still have a few minutes here. Just quickly. We have those that they tune in, but they may not tune in at the same time when we start the service. But I did mark this, and I don't want to not implement this today, Yisrael. Yahweh, he will perform all that he has commanded, his oath for us, his promises. And everything that he speaks, it is established, Yisrael. Nothing goes undone. So, you don't have to turn here, just listen. I'm going to read from Yashar chapter 47, verse 7. It says here, and Yitzhak, he called Yaakov and his sons. And they all came and sat before Yitzhak. And Yitzhak said unto Yaakov, Yahweh Almighty of the whole earth, he said unto me. So Yahweh, there are those that he speaks to. His option, what he desires, those things that he implements. He elects his malak to speak unto Israel. He said to me, to your seed will I give this land for an inheritance, if your children keep my statutes and my ways.
That's right.
And the only way that children keep the statutes and in the ways of Yahweh is that we teach them Yisrael. So just as Abram was taught of Almighty Yahweh, he spoke to him, did he not?
Yes.
Yet he did not cease to teach his seed and his zerah.
No.
So even in the schoolhouse, Yisrael, let us teach not only the math, and I know the math, the English, all those things, but let us above all things that the children may understand walking in her Torah, how important that is. Yisrael, and all that we do. In the bed, in the tabernacle, in the schoolhouse, whether we join in the dining hall, everything, that it may be a reminder to them that we ahava one another, Yisrael, and walk in the testimony of YHWH Ha MessiYAH. He said, if your children keep my statutes and my ways, he said, then I will perform even to them the oath which I have swore unto your Avad Abraham. So Yahweh, he will even perform it over and over again. Even for our children and their children's children, from generation to generation. But we must walk in the commandments of Almighty Yahweh, our Abba. Now therefore, my son, teach your children and your children's children to fear Yahweh and to go in the tough way which is pleasing unto Yahweh your Almighty. For if you keep the ways of Yahweh and his statutes, Yahweh will also keep you, his covenant with Abram, and will do well with you and your seed all the days. And Yitzhak had finished commanding Yaakov and his children. He gave up the Ruach. His time was past. He said unto them what was needed to be said at that time.
Right.
And he knew he was able to lay down his life, Yisrael. So he gave up his Ruach and he died. And he was gathered to his people. So Yahweh, he sent the messenger.
Yes.
He sent the messenger with the message that we as a people may learn. We may teach it to our children, Yisrael. But there does come a time whereby the messenger has to move on. So let us absorb all that we can from our Zawkane, from our Re'ah, for those that speak Yisrael. That we may continue in the path and in the way of Almighty Yahweh. That we not detour or be detoured by anything, but that we maintain the path. We must do that, Yisrael. That we may even produce and continue this generation of Yisrael. As Yahweh had confessed unto us, we are a great nation, a great am unto him. And even his faith, that those that look upon the nation of Yisrael, they will ask, who is this great people? Whereby they have covenant, and they have judgment, and they have statutes, that they are so mighty in the eyes of Yahweh our Abba. Let us stand to our feet, Israel.
Yeah.
So let us use our listening. Let us maintain the course. It has been established by YHWH Ha MessiYAH. This straight and narrow way.
Yes.
We know there's no other way that we can be pleasing in the eyes of our Abba, but we must walk in the footsteps of YHWH Ha MessiYAH.
Yes.
Abba Yahweh, we told you for this young, for this Shabbaton,
Yes.
that we have gathered and have entered into your bayat, your great bayat this day, that we may receive of the lesson from Hashem.
Hallelujah.
We told you, Abba Yahweh, for the lesson that it may feed and fill the lamb, the heart of cold Yisrael, and also the water, YHWH Ha MessiYAH, the living water, that you have placed in the midst that we may drink. We do told you for all things. We pray for the great nation of Yisrael that are scattered abroad, that you will continue to keep us, Abba Yahweh, lead and guide us by your Torah, and that your ahava will be shed abroad in our hearts, around the four corners of the old land.
Yes.
And all things we do give you Todah, we give you praise.
Yes.
In the precious and mighty name of YHWH Ha MessiYAH, we do declare, hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Yahweh. Shabbat Shalom. Oh, Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom. Yahweh Barak you all. Hallelujah.
Shalom.
shall make its boast in Yahweh.
My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. Be glad.
Come on, my soul's gonna make its boast in Yah.
My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. My soul shall make its boast in Yahweh. The humble shall hear and be glad. Be glad.
I will bless Yahweh at all times.
I will bless Yahweh at all times. I will bless Yahweh at all times. I will bless Yahweh. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. His praise shall continually be in my mouth, in my mouth.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Behold, bless you, Yahweh. Behold, bless you, Yahweh. All you servants of Yahweh, which by night stand in the house of Yahweh. Lift up your hands in the tabernacle and bless Yahweh. Oh, lift up your hands. Lift up your hands in the tabernacle and bless Yahweh. Oh, lift up your hands. Lift up your hands in the tabernacle and bless Yahweh. Yahweh, that name, the Shemayim and the Olam, bless you out of Zion. Yahweh, that name, the Shemayim and the Olam, bless you out of Zion. Behold, behold, Shema.